Columbus, Georgia, this is your City Council. Mayor Teresa Tomlinson. City Manager Isaiah Hughley. Pop Barnes, District 1. Glenn Davis, District 2. Bruce Huff, District 3. Evelyn Turner Pugh, Mayor Pro Tem and District 4. Mike Baker, District 5. Gary Allen, District 6. Mimi Woodson, District 7. Tom Buck, District 8. Judy Thomas, Post 9 at-large counselor. Skip Henderson, Post 10 at-large counselor. Tiny Washington, Clerk of Council. And City Attorney Clifton Fay. Columbus, Georgia, this is your City Council.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, January 26th meeting of the Columbus City Council. We're so glad to have you here with us, and we have a packed house tonight, and that is an indication of the amount of business we have on this particular agenda. We will move through as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, it's going to be a long evening, I predict. So with that, you're going to see a lot of good government tonight, a lot of hard work. We'll go ahead and get started. I want to recognize my pastor, the Reverend Cindy Gerard with St. Luke United Methodist Church. She's going to provide us with the invocation here this evening consistent with her faith tradition.
Let us pray. You created us and formed us for your service, O God. You've reached out and taken our hands, lifting us into your presence. You put your words on the lips of the youngest and simplest who speak what you command. Let us follow them and trust in you with all our heart. We pray this day for those who are held hostage around the world, in Africa, in Iran, in North Korea, in Syria, in Iraq. Wherever your children are in need, loving God, you are there. Send your presence to succor them and revive their spirits. Be to them a rock of refuge, a strong fortress. Guide those who are seeking their relief. Protect their souls and strengthen their families. Make us strong in your name, O God, to love as you love, not with emotion, but with action. Make us patient with our family members and fellow city council members who know better than anyone how to get under our skin. Make us kind to the stranger who always shows up at the wrong time. Make us content with what we have, which is more than most of the world, and make us generous, our possessions will not follow us into the next life. Show us how to praise others without seeking glory. Help us to be thankful for all that is good, even when it's accomplished by our rival. For there is no rhetoric that will feed a child, no slogan that will heal a wound, no banner that will comfort the lonely, no campaign that will forgive a wrong. We spend our energy in that which doesn't matter and have become noisy gongs and clanging cymbals. So restore in us the kindness and forbearance that are signs that we are indeed made in your image. We pray in the name of that which is holiest. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for those inspirational words. Thank you for the spiritual sustenance you provide to our family, and thank you for what St. Luke does for this community. It is always a treat to have Girls Inc. girls in the house. They're strong, they're smart, they're bold, and they're here tonight to help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to ask them to come forward to the clerk's desk at this time. And while they assemble, if you all would stand and prepare to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
All right. Really good job. Our Mayor Pro Tem says she just left a Girls Inc. meeting, and so we want to get your name and hear what grade you're in.
My name is McKay.
Uh-oh. Can someone help turn that on?
My name is Michaela, and I'm in the 6th grade.
Okay.
My name is Isabella, and I'm in 5th grade.
My name is Erin, and I'm in 4th grade.
My name is Cordasia, and I'm in 4th grade.
My name is Halen, and I'm in 4th grade.
Well, you guys did a wonderful job, and I understand you've got some folks here with you that help lead you in your programs, and we're so proud of you. We're just so proud of you, and we look forward to the great things you're going to do and hope you'll come back soon to lead us in the pledge again. Let's give them another round of applause. With that, we have a public hearing tonight, the River District Redevelopment Plan, 6th Avenue, Liberty District, Uptown, and 2nd Avenue, City Village, Tax Allocation Districts 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to turn it over to the City Attorney, and also Councilor Davis has asked for a point of privilege.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. City Attorney, it's my understanding that each of these requests for the tax allocation districts, the Liberty District, the City Village District, and the Uptown District are all being looked at separately, and that it would be the preference of the council that these different requests be voted on individually.
Well, right now, Counselor, there is a package for the redevelopment area, which includes all 3 TADs, but if any counselor wants to make a motion to vote on these separately, and the vote will occur in March, and that's appropriate at this time.
Yes. I want to request that make a motion that we vote on each of these separately.
All right, we have a motion from Councilor Barnes, a second from Councilor Thomas. This is a motion to separate proposed tax allocation districts 2, 3, and 4 so that they're heard individually. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right.
Okay. That passes, and I believe Counselor Davis wants to read something into the record.
Madam Mayor, Mr. City Attorney, and members of council, and to the clerk of council, I would like this statement that I'm about to read be recorded into the records. I have been made aware of the provisions of OCGA 36-44-20 concerning conflicts of interest relative to the creation of redevelopment districts under the Redevelopment Powers Law. In light of the current statutory language, I am disclosing that I do not currently have any financial interest, direct or indirect, in any of the 3 proposed tax allocation districts in the River District Redevelopment Plan, which is on the Mayor's agenda tonight and public hearing today. However, out of the abundance of caution, I do wish to disclose that there is a potential that I might have what could be construed to be an indirect interest in transactions related to proposed Columbus, Georgia Consolidated Government Tax Allocation District Number 3, which is Uptown, which is one of the 3 tax allocation districts proposed by the plan. Accordingly, I make this written disclosure and announce that I will not participate in the discussion of or vote on any resolution or other council action which includes the area identified as the Uptown Tax Allocation District described above. Madam Clerk.
All right. Ms. Clerk, if you'll keep that for the record in your file. And Mayor, I think we're now ready to start the public hearing.
Okay, we might have another point of order. I believe it's Councilor Huff.
Yeah, I need direction because I, too, am a business owner in the Liberty District, so I need to be guided by the city attorney as far as my participation in these matters.
He's owned it for longer than 2 years.
If you've owned it longer than 2 years prior to this month, then you are able to keep your ownership, and you need to disclose it and not participate or discuss that particular district where you've got a property ownership.
Okay.
All right, I don't know, Mr. Blakely, if you want to come up now, in light of what's been said, Mr. Bishop, you can start off, but apparently the council does want to vote in March on these separately, and that can all be worked out on paper by March the 8th or whatever that Tuesday is, but y'all want to go ahead and we can discuss the entire package and the components.
Yeah, we would just like to give an update on a response to the questions that have been asked the last few times that we've met. I'm Richard Bishop with Uptown Columbus. We've got representatives from each of the TAD districts that have been proposed. We've got Marquette.
Oh, Richard, we're having a little trouble hearing you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Maybe lift that up a little bit?
Yeah, I got you. I'm
Here we
sorry.
go.
We've got representatives from each one of the districts that have been proposed. We've got Marquette McKnight here from City Village to Justin. She's here. And then Robert Anderson is here from the Liberty District, 6th Avenue. And then we've also got Ken here. Ken is here to address the questions or issues that have been raised. I think that you should have a copy of a presentation that Ken will be going over that addresses 2 changes in the plan, and then this issue about the reassessment. We hope that we've got a solution for that, but we certainly respect your comments and we want to hear from those. So I'll turn it over to Ken and let him go through the presentation. And again, thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to be here today.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. We just wanted to briefly highlight a couple of the changes since we had the last public meeting in response to questions that you asked. And this is, you received a copy of the updated River District redevelopment plan earlier this week, and these changes are all reflected in that document. We just thought we'd highlight them because there's a lot of material in there. As you know, the proposal for the redevelopment area known as the River District has 3 separate TAD boundaries, 3 separate TAD areas included in there. The TAD District number 2 is 6th Avenue Liberty District, which is shown in blue on the map. TAD number 3 is Uptown, which is shown in sort of an orange color. And TAD number 4 would be 2nd Avenue and City Village. And that has not changed, that basic boundary, but some of the boundaries have changed slightly, and I'll go over those. The Liberty District boundary is identical to what we had discussed at the last meeting. It's around 296 acres. The area is shown in blue here on the map, and that area has not changed. But in the Uptown area, there was a change that was made to exclude a property that we had previously included. Let me go to that map. If you look at the Uptown District, a parcel 004-009-004, which is basically between 13th and 14th Street, has now been excluded. Half of that parcel has been excluded from the TAD district. So if you look on the map, the upper map shows what it was originally, and then today we've got it taken out. That area is part of the River Landing project. It is intended at this point to be, I believe, a parking deck. That property now would continue on the city's digest, and the advantage of doing that is you will receive the immediate revenues both from the construction and from the valuation of that parcel, in part to offset your concern about the reassessment impacts. So that project moves ahead. That part of that project will actually stay on the tax rolls, will not be included in the TAD. That's the only change in the Uptown boundary. And then on TAD District number 4, which is the City Village, as we had discussed at the last meeting, there was a request to include a couple parcels north of Manchester Expressway, which you can see it's sort of that curved-shaped, half-moon-shaped parcels. The previous boundary ended at Manchester Expressway, and now we've added, I think it's 2 parcels to the north are in there. So that's the only other change to the boundaries. There were 3 things that we talked about at the last meeting needed to happen. One is renumbering the districts, and given that you have approved the Benning Tech Park as TAD number 1, as I said, we've renumbered these so that Liberty District would be TAD number 2, Uptown would be TAD number 3, and City Village TAD number 4. There was a request to make those boundary changes, and we have made those changes. And then the third issue was how should the city, or how could the city deal with the potential impact of the reassessment process that you're going through currently. Over the last month, we spent quite a bit of time consulting with other cities and talking to one of the state's foremost authorities on the redevelopment power law, Ms. Sharon Gay, who's with Denton's, about how would be the most efficient way to deal with the potential change in value that would come from the reassessment sometime, say, mid-2017, 2017, if you made the decision to go ahead and adopt the TAD this year, which would then set the base at 2016. And the conclusion was there's a provision in the law called a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes provision, but the language is not totally clear that the sponsoring jurisdiction can give itself its own pilot. It clearly can be one that you can do with a school district, or if you, in this case, if you're a municipality, you could do it with a county. But it's not clear that the sponsoring jurisdiction can actually create a pilot to itself. So looking at the language, the conclusion was that the best strategy was to use the amendment provision that's in the law. In Section 4436-10B has a provision that basically allows you to add parcels at a future time, so you could potentially add a couple small parcels. And what that does is it triggers that you then have to reset the base to the year that you add those parcels. So how that would work is if we went through the reassessment process, when you have the answer, let's say in the middle of 2017, and there was a significant difference in your opinion, council's opinion, between 2016 and 2017 values, what you could do is amend those districts, add a couple small parcels, and that would set the base to that 2017 number. That looks to be the cleanest and simplest approach, and it gives you total option to do it or not do it, depending on the results of the assessment process. So you have this tool. You can use it at any time once those assessments are done, and if it's in your opinion the difference is immaterial, you don't have to do it. But if you came back and said, wow, it's significant, it's a couple percent, then you just do the amendment process. And that seems to be the cleanest, simplest way to deal with that process. So our recommendation would be to proceed and adopt the plan this year, set the base in 2016. That will allow you to start marketing the properties to attract projects into the 3 TAD areas. And you can move ahead, and then if it becomes necessary to make that adjustment, we don't anticipate there will be any debt that would be issued in that previous 12 months, and that would mean that you could reset the base and make that adjustment based on what your final conclusions are about the assessment process in 2017. The other thing I would point out, as I mentioned, by including this portion of the River Landing project in, now including taking it out of the TAD and leaving it in the city's tax base, we think that will generate several $100,000 in the short term to the city in 2017 and 18, which would hopefully help offset, again, some of the impacts of that reassessment process. It may not cover it all, but at least it would be a step in the right direction to make sure you were covered in terms of some of those additional revenues. And so with that, we would be glad to answer any questions you have about the amended redevelopment plan or anything else about the 3 TADs.
All right, we have the Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Blakely, earlier we talked about ownership disclosures by an elected person on the council. Does that apply to the school board and any other elected body?
It is I am not an attorney, but it's my understanding from talking to Sharon Gay about this, that the current law, the way it's worded, says boards and authorities. So I would think potentially it would include them. But it's very vague. The language is in the statute it's not totally clear.
And let me follow up on that. Mayor Pro Tem, that's the way we read it because the statute is written so broadly, and the school board attorney has looked at it and I believe he reads it the same way, that it would cover the school board. And through Ms. Gay, the lawyer in Atlanta, and others, we're trying to get that state law addressed, get the General Assembly to take another look at it, because it is so broad that it prohibits, participation by board members and employees in a district where they might want to live, potentially. And let me make one other correction, Mayor, on Councilor Huff's question, just so we're all clear. If he's owned property more than 2 years in any of the districts, he can participate and he can vote on that particular district. But if you have bought it within the last 2 years, you could not. So I just wanted to clarify that. All right.
That law does not affect state elected officials, only local.
The law does not prohibit state elected officials or federal officials from buying property in the district. It's only aimed at local council members and school boards right now, but we hope the General Assembly will take a look at that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have Councilor Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, just so I understand, I guess what we're asked to do, since some of us, I think, have some serious concerns about and it's not the amount of money. I just want to be clear, and I've spoken with Mr. Bishop about this. The idea that there's this huge difference that's going to be uncovered when we set the baseline and then look at it a year later, I don't think that's going to happen. For me, it's the principle of this is not my money. This money belongs to the taxpayers who are living in that district, and it actually, in terms of what it can mean in terms of fulfilling our operational obligations, it belongs to the entire community. So for me, it's more about getting an accurate baseline. At least that's my perspective. So what I understand is we're going to adopt a district that we know going in we're going to change. And then did you say in 2017?
Yeah, it's our understanding that the reassessment process would be completed in 2017.
By the first, yeah. I think you're right. So in 2017, what we would do is, I assume we would withhold the funding of any projects till then in those particular areas, move a boundary line, call a piece of property, and then it would reset everything
to that value
for a calculation to draw a new baseline based on the assessed value as of 2017.
That would be your option.
And the reason I stated that is because I want to make sure I understand it, because I'm okay with that. And I don't really have a problem approving any of these TADs because all we're doing is we're setting our easel, so to speak. What we draw on it is entirely up to us.
Correct.
And to that point, I would encourage anybody that's got a project in their back pocket that they're looking to pursue. I hearken back to what happened with BRAC. We were expecting 37,000 people, and people started building like crazy. Don't get your cart in front of our horse, because we want to make sure that the projects that are presented are projects that are amenable, that we all agree on. And I still struggle, frankly, with this economic development tool in some areas that are already experiencing pretty solid redevelopment. So I just wanted to make sure I understood it. I'm not going to have any problem supporting the TAD districts themselves.
All right. Let's see. We have Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of questions. One, if you could help me, I think you stated that at some point we could add properties into the TAD.
Yes.
Would we also be able to exclude properties that are already in the TAD?
Yes. Okay. You could change the boundary.
So it could be massaged either way.
Correct.
Okay. Mayor, my other question is regarding Councilor Davis' statement. In past requests that councilors have made expressing a concern about voting on an issue, council has voted to allow them to abstain. Is that what we need to do based on his request?
It is, I believe, in our charter that if a councilor requests to abstain, that it must be voted on by council. I don't know if the state law preempts that by forbidding it. I'd have to ask the city attorney. When state law forbids the participation, do you have to vote?
He's made a disclosure, so he is forbidden by statute from participating in the Uptown TAD district.
Would it hurt anything if we simply voted to make certain that no one can make a contention that Counselor Davis
If you
didn't
wanna-
perfect the record? Might as
You
well.
could do that, probably in March would be a
Okay.
better time to do it when all this is on the table.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're all on
I agree.
safe
Might as
ground.
well just make sure we've dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's. Let's just make a note, Mr. City Attorney and Madam Clerk, that when this comes back up in March, that we'll follow that procedure and remind everyone of Counselor Davis's statement, and then I have a motion and vote to abstain. Let's see, we have Counselor Henderson.
I'm sorry, I had one other quick question. Is there any other authority that we have to, that has to agree with our interpretation of a significant difference in order to affect these changes?
No,
It's
that's
solely
totally
at
your
our
discretion. That's
So it
correct.
can't be challenged. Nobody can come back later and say, it's only $500. We're not going to allow you to do it.
There's no set amount. You
Okay.
you will determine that amount. It's not spelled out in any law or limitation.
I appreciate it.
All right, we have Counselor Baker.
Thank you. Just briefly, and I believe this goes to policies and guidelines, and I thought this was in here, but I did not see it. But my question is, once a parcel goes into a project, goes into the TAD, if there's a project big enough that the developer thought that his business model was a better fit for a tax abatement than a TAD, it's not in here that he has forfeited that. Because once we put these parcels in the TADs, you couldn't give a tax abatement because you need that tax revenue to pay the financing. So is that a policy and guideline issue
It's a
that just
policy.
to be added?
It's really a policy question for you. Legally, you could do it, you wouldn't practically. You either do one or the other. There are examples where they have had within TADs, the companies taking the abatement instead of the TAD. And kind of the argument is if the district's already growing, then that doesn't really harm, it doesn't create a deficit. But the rule generally is if you're in the TAD, that's the preferred methodology. So
And I would agree, and I would like, maybe if Mr. Jones could look at that, Mr. City Attorney, and possibly update or just bring us some information about updating our policies. It just doesn't make, from a business standpoint, to allow somebody to opt out for a tax abatement when you're going to depend on those tax dollars to make the bond payments. So, it could put you in a bad spot. So if Mr. Jones could look at that from a policy standpoint before we go too far past March. And then my last question is on the bond repayments. Is it, I know every 6 months, I assume you make the interest payments. Is it a sinking fund type where you reserve the principal and pay it off at the end, or is it amortized down each semi-annual payment amortizes the debt down? Okay.
Yes.
No, just curious. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion on this public hearing here? And this is for all three districts. Councilor Davis.
Madam Mayor, this pertains to the Liberty District. I'm somewhat disappointed. We talked about making changes. There were some concerns of the council about the South Commons area, and I don't see any changes that have been made there. The way I understand it, council can amend the TAD with a motion and the right amount of votes to remove that area. And I believe it could be done tonight, or it could be done when the resolution comes forward. Well, and I have to, I'm going to say this, I've said it before, I will not support the Liberty District. I'm all in agreement with it, but I'm not in agreement with the South Commons area being part of it. And the reason being behind that, whether it's current, whether it's potential, whether it's future city interest, I think that it would be a conflict to keep it in the TAD at this point.
Councilor Davis, would that include the fuel station? Because that's not
No,
South
ma'am,
Commons.
it's South Commons City.
And it's a potential
Only
gray field
city
or brown
land,
field.
only city land. I think it's very clear. I've had numerous conversations with several entities in this room, several people in this room.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's well understood what I mean by this and my concerns, so there shouldn't be any question.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because in case that ever was a brown field or gray field, I think people just need to know, but I don't believe that's South Commons, so
No.
maybe we can just chat later to make sure we all
It would,
understand.
I think it would be the softball field, the Civic Center,
Right.
and Golden Park area.
Okay. Was that a motion?
I
or-
will make a motion.
Okay. Would you make it again, Councilor Davis, just so we know, since it's redrawing of lines?
It would be the area known as South Commons, which would be the, as we know today, the softball fields, the main softball field, the Civic Center, and Golden Park. And that would include the skateboard park as well.
All right, that's the motion, and Councilor Barnes is second. But you'd have to make a motion for him to be heard. Well, I guess it's a public hearing.
And Madam Mayor, I believe those parcels are outlined on the tax maps, on the tax
Okay.
rolls.
All right, we have several counselors in queue. Indicate if you wanted to speak about, because you were in queue for a while, that you wanted to speak to this particular motion. Councilor Thomas does, and I think that there's someone on public hearing that would like to hear as well. Councilor Thomas.
I just want to be very clear exactly which properties we're talking about and exactly where those lines are. I know generally what Councilor Davis has outlined, but I just want to make sure that we've got them. And it may be that tonight may not be the time to do that. It may be, again, that when we actually vote on this in March, that those be drawn. I'm assuming that basically what he's talking about are the softball fields. Does it go all the way to Victory Drive? The softball fields all the way to the river? This is a little more in-depth than some of the things that we deal with, and I want to be sure that I know the property that he's talking about. I personally do not have a problem with voting to exclude generally what he's talking about, but I want to know exactly and specifically.
Okay. Let's see. Anyone else to this motion? Councilor Henderson, then Councilor Woodson.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, a couple of questions. One, I don't have a problem voting it out, but I'm kind of a visual guy, so I wonder if it would make better sense to draw the boundaries and bring it back for a vote when we can put it up on the screen and show the public what we're talking about carving out. And another question too, sort of aside from that, is I guess the same options apply, so that if there were ever a need to adjust that, if we wanted to move that boundary, we could do that, and it would reset that area as well?
The only challenge, like in 2017, absolutely. When you get a couple more years into it, if you've issued debt, then you basically have to have provisions to pay for that debt, or you can't amend the boundary.
So that brings up another good question. Is there a...
Technically, you can't.
There's a window of opportunity, and it's not dictated by time. It's dictated by whether or not you've initiated projects and issued debt.
Yeah, and how much of the debt the district consumes. In other words, if you're issuing a small amount, you'll still have plenty of reserve. It's not an issue.
Yeah, I get that.
But if you're issuing a big amount,
so if we've
people aren't going to
authorized the
want you to move
project,
the
the debt's
boundary.
been issued, then that window shuts.
Kind of closed down, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We have Councilor Woodson to speak to the motion.
It's to the motion. I too would like to see it, just to, instead of imagine it. And then I would like a little bit more explanation on why were the other parcels added, because through all our conversation, and when Councilor Glenn brought this Davis, his concern was Golden Park, because of the fact that the possibility Georgia can give us a casino, or probably because there's someone interested in buying the property. So I knew that was the reason why we wanted to take that out. But why are we taking out South Common and the Civic Center if that doesn't generate taxes anyway? And if I understood you correctly, if it's not in the district, okay, and something goes wrong, let's say the sidewalk, something happens to the sidewalk, then the funding from the TAD would not cover it because it's not in the TAD. And we would have to find that funding to fix that piece of property later. Is that correct?
You can only spend the TAD money inside the boundary of the TAD. You can't spend money generated in the TAD outside the boundary.
Okay. And see, and I understood the thought behind Golden Park, But I guess I'm not ready to vote because I like to see it there, and I like to know the thought behind the Civic Center and the South Common area where the 8 softball fields are, because I don't see any development there, but I can see them benefiting from any funding coming there to repair the South Common fields. So I don't, and it's too quick to say. I have to get some answers, but I don't see the benefit of removing the Civic Center nor the South Common area. The Golden Park, I'm not too excited, but it's acceptable because we could still go back and redraw the lines. But I'm having some concerns of other property that belongs to us that can benefit from it, because we're not going to sell that property. It belongs to the public. So, Mayor, I'm not ready to vote until I can see it.
We've got some more discussion. We can always entertain. Councilor Davis is in line. He may or may not want to withdraw it. If he wants to leave it on the table, somebody could offer a substitute motion. But this time, we still have councilors in queue. Councilor Barnes.
No.
Okay. Councilor Davis.
I yield to Mr. Bishop.
No, I just wanted clarifications. We can get Ken to draw the lines. I just want to make sure that, do you want us to go in the direction so we can maintain the tank farms in the TAD? I would see that as pretty critical to the city. But he has to make the lines work, and it may require coming through the South Commons in some way. I'm not saying he can't do it, but we just need the direction as we bring you proposals back with maps that you want to keep the tank farms in the TAD district. If you don't, it's pretty simple. But if you do, then Ken has to figure out how to make the lines work.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor, Mr. Bishop, I am totally fine with that.
Okay.
I'll withdraw my motion. That's actually what I was hoping would happen tonight, and that it wouldn't have to come up. But I am totally fine with that. I think everybody understands where my concerns with it, and my concerns are for the city of Columbus, Georgia.
And Richard, whatever is redrawn, let's try to get it to council as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
And not wait till March.
Yeah,
so
that can be a pretty quick
postponement.
turnaround.
Okay, Councilor Thomas.
Mayor, I don't know if it's Councilor Davis to talk to me or Bishop or whoever, but I like to know the logic behind removing those two other facilities.
I think you would want to speak with the movement, Councilor Davis, obviously.
Well, I don't want to
and
debate
then,
in here and talk here.
Oh, no, that's fine. You can get, obviously, we've got months, so you can get with Councilor Davis, you can get with Mr. Bishop, and then there will be a map at some point, and there will be debate and public discussion. Councilor Thomas.
I was just, under the parliamentary rules, going to move to table this until we have the maps. But
he's withdrawn.
If he's withdrawn it.
Okay. That does conclude discussion. Is there any other business or comments that have to be made at this time?
All right, that gets the council questions. Let's see, anybody in the audience want to be heard on the redevelopment area? This is the River District, TAD, City Village, Uptown, and Liberty. Anybody in the audience want to be heard? All right, Mr. Bishop, you want to wrap it up? Or?
Yeah, again, thanks for the opportunity to be here this evening. My personal opinion is I hope that council votes approval on all three districts. I think that over the last few months, we've tried to address all the questions. I think that without question, the TADs are put in place to incentivize economic development. Everything that I'm hearing as far as the economic outlook for Columbus is not good. I think you'll hear that pretty strong message come Friday when if you're able to go to the function at the Trade Center. You know, maybe as much as 1,000 jobs that are lost, not counting Fort Benning. So if you take that and take a good hard look at that, and we all think about what TADs can do, both on the front end of construction with creating and maintaining jobs, and with the construction dollars that are generated, all for the betterment of the community. And then you take the sales tax that are generated. These are all on the front end of all these projects. You know, and then you take the long-term benefit that, you know, maybe in the short term there's a little pain, but the gain that you get on the backside, I think, is much, much better than the pain that we may have to feel on the front end. And so I would just ask you to strongly consider the approval of all of these districts. I know certainly people look at Uptown and say, hey, man, Uptown is pumping. You don't need any help. Fact of the matter is, it's going to get harder and harder to do projects. And this city council has been off the chain as far as public-private partnership. This is just another public-private partnership. That's really all it is. You know, $500+ million have been invested in downtown in the last few years. A large percentage of that is city money. You participated in it, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it, the business appreciates it, and the property owners appreciate it. So, again, it's just a great economic tool, and the other districts are ripe for development, but it's just going to be hard for them to get started if they don't have something to prime the pump. And I'm not standing here telling you that there's going to be a project that's going to start in Liberty District or City Village in 2016 or 17. But if you don't have a tool on the table, it makes it harder. You know, there's companies now that are looking to stay away from the tech parks out in the county. They want to be downtown where vibrancy is being created. They can walk to lunch. They got great places to park. They can shop and enjoy the amenities that you have helped create in Uptown Columbus. And Uptown Columbus being the core of the 6th Avenue Liberty District and the City Village. So they're looking for places. They're going to need help. The Chamber, the Development Authority. This is a tool you can go ahead and put in their toolbox. They don't have to come back to you, hopefully, in some cases, to ask for help, because you're going to create a tool for them. And I just hope that you're able to look at each one of these. I know you want to look at them individually, but I certainly hope that we get an affirmative vote on all three of them. And thank you again for the time that you've given us tonight and over the past few weeks.
We have Councilor Barnes.
Mr. Bishop.
Yes, sir.
My main point of contention, being that we do have time for all the people that we represent, the citizens.
Yes, sir.
Who many of them I'm still hearing questions. So what forums are you going to have between now and then?
We will do anything that if you give us somewhere to go, we are happy to go.
We got a place right here with this, what do we have down there, that meeting room?
The City Services
Services
Public
Center.
Meeting Room.
And you and I have had conversations about this before.
Yeah, and actually, to your point, and because of you, we did a piece that was on CCG TV. It aired about 40 times. It was a Q&A. We did that. So we're talking to a lot of people. I had a person call me from Aflac today that was asking about a TAD, how it would work. So I hear you.
And that's fine for individuals who can get CCG TV.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that
I'm just using that example.
So what I'm saying to you right now, because my big point, my problem, and I'm for TAD, but my problem is getting information out to the community. You and I have had conversations about this here. And so I'll get together with you, or if you can come up with something. My main point is the citizens that we represent, who's paying the bills, that they know what's going on. And I walk the streets every day, and a lot of them still don't. That's a problem with me.
Okay.
And you and I have had that conversation. So if you can come up with something where we can invite the citizens, everybody knows how to get here. I think this would be a good thing to educate the people that we work for.
That will happen.
Okay.
I will send you an email tonight, and we'll get some dates set, coordinated with city staff on when we can use the space. It's a done deal. Thank you.
Councilor Woodson.
Richard, I was going to just suggest in reference to Pop's request is that you can do the exact thing like the mayor does her city mayors. You could just pick 4 areas within that time period and have the meetings in them 4 areas.
Okay.
Divide up the city into 4 quadrants, set it up, call them before March, and everybody will be happy. And then that way, if someone said they didn't get the information, it was upon them, because it was on TV 40 times. It's talked about constantly, and now you're going to have 4 meetings in the city quadrant. So there's no reason for someone to say that the information wasn't available for them. And it's also on the website. Each person has 3 council members they can call So that would take care of that problem, knowing that it's in 4 parts of the city, just like the mayor has her meetings, and then that way people will know.
We
And I
can
think
do
that
that.
will help you.
Good.
That's a suggestion. I'm not telling you
Good
what to
deal.
do, but a suggestion,
Thank
a
you.
situation.
And, you know, we have no problem, and actually, I'll probably try to start calling some of you if there's anything else that we need to address, just to make sure that in these next few days that we have, that if you have any concerns, we would certainly like to meet with you and try to work out any issues that are out there. And we will start the public hearing process. Information won't be a public hearing, but a public information process.
In addition to what Councilor Woodson said, still consider this here because people can come here.
Yeah, we will
Not-
have this as one spot.
All right, there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
We're good.
thank you.
All right, that concludes it
Yeah.
for Mr. Bishop.
Okay, thank y'all. That concludes the public hearing required by OCGA 36-44-7. It sounds like there will be some more public forums on the matter, and March 8th at the council meeting at 9 a.m., the 3 tax allocation districts will be back here for formal vote on each one.
All right, we have the Mayor Pro Tem with a question.
Also, Mr. Bishop, if there are groups out there that wants you all to come hold a meeting at their place, they can call Uptown Columbus, right? Thank you.
Okay, and we have the City Manager.
Madam Mayor, I was just going to suggest that the council members take another look at the TAD policies. And if you see something that you think that we need to address, we've got time to address those before this comes back to you. And I think Councilor Baker pointed out one thing tonight. So,
Right.
so I'd just encourage you to take a look, and if you see something, let us know.
Great. All right, well, thank you all. Wonderful public hearing. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. And we'll be back on March 8th to talk about it. And everybody stay tuned for notice on our website, Facebook pages, and also on CCG TV for notice of public hearings related to this. And should you have any questions, you can contact Uptown, invite them to your organization or neighborhood association to answer questions. Tonight, we have some winners in the house. And I promised them they were going to be up front, but then we had a legally required hearing that we had to do at 5:30. So I appreciate your patience. So you're semi up front. And I want to call forward the Columbus State University women's soccer team and ask them to come forward for a very special presentation made by our counselor, Judy Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let's give them a round of applause.
I'd like to say to the mayor and to council, this is a group of young women who are champions on the athletic field. But you need to know something else about these young women. 10 of them were named Peach Belt Conference All-Conference Academic Scholars. 22 of them have a Hope Scholarship. 3 of them were named Academic All-American Scholars. The grade point average for this soccer team is 3.24.
Wow.
These young women not only excel on the soccer field, they excel in the classroom, and they excel in the community. They are all doing community service. So while our resolution tonight speaks to their soccer abilities, I want the community to know, too, how terrific you young women and what a well-rounded life you live, and how thankful we are to have you in our community. So let me read the resolution. Whereas the 2015 Columbus State University women's soccer team recently made it to the NCAA National Championship match in Florida. Whereas the Lady Cougars finished the season with a 22-3-1 overall record before falling in the final championship match. Whereas the Lady Cougars won their second consecutive Southeast Regional title by defeating North Georgia 2-1 and Carson Newman 4-1. Whereas Columbus State then defeated fourth-ranked Berry 2-0 to advance to its first ever Final Four, where they defeated Bridgeport 3-1 in the national semifinals. Whereas the Lady Cougars won their 9th Peach Belt Conference Championship and repeated as conference champions 3-2 victory over North Georgia in the Peach Belt Championship match. Whereas junior Nicole Corsione and senior Shelby Rollins were each named 2015 All-Americans, and Corsione, raise your hand, Nicole. Corsione was voted as the Southeast Regional and Peach Belt Conference Player of the Year. Whereas this group of Lady Cougars plus Chelsea Pearson and Cassandra Wade were each named All Peach Belt Conference. Whereas head coach Jay Entlick was honored as Peach Belt Coach of the Year for the second straight season. Whereas the accomplishments of the Columbus State University women's soccer team are worthy of special recognition by this council. Now, therefore, the Council of Columbus, Georgia, hereby resolves. We hereby commend and congratulate the following members of the Columbus State University women's soccer team upon their outstanding 2015 season. I'm going to call your name, and if you're here tonight, would you just raise your hand and let us see who you are. Paige Betzel, Miosha Hatcher, Marilyn Parsons, Sandy Janowitz, Sarah Urbano, Tori Hood, Christy Gash, Selby Rowling, Chelsea Pearson, Claire Belay, Jessica Sauer, Lindsay Law, Rebecca Calder, Kelsey Lawrence, Katie Shannon, Nicole Carcione, Andy Larisi, Hugren, Elvis' daughter. Am I close, Hugren?
Yeah, that was good.
She's from Iceland, and in Iceland your name either ends in son or daughter, so that's her. Cassandra Wade, Stephanie Kolwitz, Madeline, is it Munsey? Music. Olivia Jarrell, Lauren Sutton, Lauren Navis, Delaney Bohr, Sydney Badney, Taylor Marks, Hope Morgan, Summer Culberson, Sonia Field, and Brooke Nail. Head coach Jay Entlick, assistant coach Nick Zimmerman, graduate assistant coach Sarah Sierra, student assistant coaches Caitlin Longena and Andrew Lure, and athletic trainer Shannon Green. Columbus is proud of their accomplishments, and we wish them every success in the future, and we have no doubt that you will be successful. Let a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the above-named participants. Mayor, I move adoption of the resolution.
A motion is second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
It is adopted.
And Mayor, also standing with the group tonight is the CSU Athletic Director, Todd Reeser. So I don't know if the coach or Todd has something they would like to say, but.
No, real quick, thank you. It has been an incredible run. I was here probably 10 to 12 years ago, thanks to Councilor Davis. I coached his daughter. But thank you all for having us. The support this year was incredible. One other accolade that probably goes unnoticed. Actually, two of our young ladies, Caitlin Longino and Chelsea Pearson, were actually responsible for the Uptown Tree Trail. So the Christmas trees. So those two young ladies who are part of our program raised $19,000.
Wow.
And it was their idea. They're not here. They're not here tonight, and they're going to be graduating. So we want to make sure that program does not go away, because that was pretty spectacular. But the support from the community was incredible. Our two captains, Mayor, have a gift for you. And I'm sorry we couldn't get gifts for all of you, but we'll hopefully be back at some point. So, and I don't know if Mr. Todd wants to.
Yeah, if I could, just to give some perspective, and we are so very proud of this group. I've had a chance to spend a lot of time with them, and you won't find a classier bunch, and who excel, as mentioned, on and off the field of play. There were 265 teams, Division II, and to finish second in the country is an unbelievable accomplishment. And I know they're hungry, they're disappointed, but we do need to take a moment to say, wow, what an accomplishment. And thank you so much tonight for honoring them in this way. We're proud of them, and I'm glad that you are as well. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you all so very much. And we're just so proud of you. It's wonderful to see Columbus exceptionalism. We're so glad to have you part of this great community, and we want you to come around so we can shake your hand and present you with your resolution. So please come on around. Let's give them another round of applause.
Go to the back. Yeah, just get your stuff and head.
All right, Councilor Woodson.
Coach, one moment.
Some girls have to go to class.
Oh, sure. No, we understand.
Clifton, could you get with the coach later and get the names of the two young ladies that started the tree program? Since they're going to graduate, you said this year, correct? One's graduating? Okay. So that we can give them a resolution recognizing them for that program, and that CSU is going to continue their legacy with the program. And if you can get with him, get all the information and bring it back so we can recognize both young ladies. That's it, Coach. I want to make sure you get the names in. Okay.
Great. Thank you. We're going to move on with our agenda, but I do want to recognize some folks that are here today. We have many of our workers from Public Works, correctional officers who work in our sanitation division, a lot of folks. They're here actually to support Pat Beegler, who's going to be on the agenda much, much later, probably in the 10 o'clock hour, not to throw water on anybody. But when I was shaking hands earlier, they told me they have a 6 a.m. training session. And so I want them, I want to tell you why I believe they're here from what they told me, okay? So council knows why, as so many of our employees showed up. They're really desperately concerned about our shortage of garbage trucks. And they're concerned about the fact that they may not be able to do their jobs because they don't have the equipment they need to do their jobs, and that because they don't have the equipment, it may leave the citizens in a lurch. And so they're here to support Pat when she lays this out for council's consideration. And because I think it's so extraordinary that our employees took their personal time to come here to voice their opinion related to that. I just want you to stand so council can see you, in case some of you all who are in that 6 a.m. session feel you have to go before 10 p.m. We thank you for being here. And yeah. And we appreciate what you do, and trust me, we all know. We get the calls. We know that you're holding things together with paper clips and rubber bands down there, that you're salvaging from other trucks and other vehicles, and it's amazing what you do to keep it running, and we greatly, greatly appreciate you. And we're going to be working hard to see if we can provide some relief. I'm not asking you to leave. I'm not giving you permission to leave, because I don't know what Pat's asked you to do. I just wanted you to know that it is a long haul this evening, and I think Pat's at the dead end. So thank you for being here, and I wanted you to be recognized so we could see that you're here to support that important subject. Thank you. We have a couple of folks. We have Councilor Barnes and then Councilor Woodson.
Just a question. Where's the presentation scheduled?
Pat is on the city manager's agenda, but we have several time-sensitive things that we have to get to next.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only, if it was, I would move it around.
Yeah, because you figure 6 a.m.
I know.
You know?
I know, I hear you. So maybe when we do the couple time-sensitive things, we can move some things up, but we've got a few things we got to get off the agenda. And let's see, we have Councilor Woodson.
Mayor, I just wanted to tell the city employees that with them being here, supporting Pat is very impressive, because you don't always find employees that would stand next to their director when they know a crisis, a need needs to be. Usually the director standing by themselves, pleading for help. And for them to take their time to come out here, and stand next to her, I think it's very, very impressive, and I think it's very commendable. And I'm glad that this will air over and over and over, because the other departments, not only here in city government, but other places should see. This is a great example, because sometimes with budget cuts and things, it gets difficult. But to see people, people that affect, people that care about their neighbors, their brothers, their sisters, is very impressive. So I just needed to say that. Thank you to you, to the employees, for coming and standing up for your director.
That worked a full day and then came to be heard. So thank you all. And we're going to move on quickly. So like I said, in case you do want to stay, but we need to take care of a few things. Let's get some business out of the way. We have minutes from the January 12th, and we've got a motion and a second that the January 12th, 2016 council meetings minutes be adopted. Are there any changes, additions, edits of any sort? Seeing that there's none, all those in favor, please state aye. Are there any opposed? All right, and with that, we'll move into the city attorney's agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. The one zoning item on for a vote is 7350 Blackman Road. Going to general commercial. It's ready for a vote.
We've got a motion and second for approval. Any discussion on this item? All right, I'm going to cue it for electronic voting. Please record your votes electronically. And it passes.
All right, Mr. Billings, thank you for your patience. That has passed. And Mayor, we do need an executive session to discuss litigation before our next item.
Okay.
We
have Councilor Henderson, perhaps, to some business now. Oh, Mr. Billings. Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
No, we're good.
Okay.
No, this is just Councilor Baker and I were having a sidebar, and that Blackman Road is getting, I know we have dozens of roads in our community that are choked with traffic. If you've ever tried to go across, that interchange there off of J. Arlen Parkway during the time the students are trying to queue up to go to school or when they're getting out, it's an impossibility. And I don't know, because of the roundabout we put down there near the new grocery store, whether or not there's a distance restriction from putting a light or something. I know we ended up having to put one at Schaumburg and J.R. Allen because of the schools and the grocery stores to the, I guess it's to the south. So I just want to make sure that our folks are keeping that on their radar, that we're looking for solutions.
Yeah. Donna's saying that we are doing a traffic study of
Okay.
Blackman Road, so maybe
Okay.
that we'll report back here in the near future.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah,
awful.
it's growing. All right, so the city attorney has asked for, not on. The city attorney has asked for an executive session at this time prior to moving forward with the agenda, and it's regarding litigation.
Correct.
And so if we could get a motion, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state aye. Okay, and that means we have to go through the unfortunate business of clearing the chambers for a bit. I'm so very sorry. If we could have the chambers cleared, and we'll hope to bring you all in just a few minutes. Thank you. We're in executive session. Okay, are we on? All right, we are back from executive session on matters of litigation. No votes were taken, and at this time, we're still in the city attorney's agenda, and I turn it over to Clifton Fay.
All right, thank you, Mayor. We are to item 2 on our agenda. This is an ordinance to amend the FY16 budget concerning legal fees and expenses ordered by the Superior Court on behalf of Sheriff John Darr. We've got a proposed amendment to the ordinance that I'd like to read into the record, Mayor, and then we'll get a motion, if that's appropriate, and any discussion. The paragraph reads as follows. As with previous court-ordered payments, this ordinance is adopted under protest as to further encumbrance of the general fund. Furthermore, in light of the recent recusal of the trial judge in this matter, this council is extremely concerned about the manner in which legal fees and expenses on behalf of Sheriff Darr are reviewed. In the future, it is hoped that any new trial judge will allow a neutral party, such as a special master, to review any invoices for legal fees and expenses incurred on behalf of Sheriff Darr. If we could get a motion to amend the ordinance to that effect, that would be in order.
Do we have a motion to amend to add the protest language? Okay, we got a motion. Is there a second? All right, any discussion as to the amendment? All right, all those in favor, please, to the amendment or to the whole thing? Because we'll come back in a moment. Okay. To the amendment, all those in favor, please state aye. Okay, and now we have the amended.
The amendment passes. The entire ordinance as amended is on the table for any discussion.
Okay. We've got a motion to approve and a second. We have discussion with Councilor Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in complete concurrence and in agreement with what the city attorney just stated. My vote tonight will be under protest, although I want the citizens to know that I'm mandated by the courts to approve these fees, and as much as one would like not to at this point, that would be contempt of court. So I don't think that's wise in this case. Based on documents that I've read, that I've seen, that I've heard, even the articles in the paper, the words of our respective mayor in this matter, I think it's very appropriate that total accountability takes place in this and is reviewed very closely to the text of what the city attorney just stated.
All right, thank you. We have Councilor Henderson.
Well, similarly, I've got no confidence in the numbers, and I have no reason to. I have nothing to base those numbers on. While I appreciate the wording of the ordinance and these payments being made under protest, I don't know that you can stress quite strongly enough how much under protest it is. In fact, the only reason that I don't vote against it is because a contempt of court charge is going to run the meter a little bit longer. There's going to be additional charges, additional costs associated with that. And at the end of the day, I don't know that even that legally we're going to be able to overturn that judge's order. So yeah, I'm voting for it, but it's I'm going to close my eyes, hold my nose, and spit in my palm before I push that button. So.
All right. We have Councilor Woodson.
I want to express my concerns too. I'm not going to continue the conversation, but I'm really not in favor of it, but I really don't want to pay additional fees for being in contempt. So I'll be supporting it, but not from the heart. It's just a have to do, must do, and thank you, Clifton, for putting that in there. Hopefully that would help us, and with the new judge, maybe we can get some better answers. I hate signing a check that I don't know what I'm paying for.
We have the Mayor Pro Tem.
I thought y'all had already voted, but however, I'm supporting this, not because I want to, but because the judge sent the order down. And, you know, we train our children to obey the law. And that's the only reason I'm supporting it. I'm voting for this. But I have real big problems supporting something that I really don't know what I'm supporting. And I don't think it's fair to us as a body to have to do it. But because the judge said it.
All right, we have Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor. I just, too, have become concerned about the accountability, and I just believe, since it is all taxpayer money involved, that I would like to see more accountability on the front end before they're paid rather than afterwards. And I just don't believe whether you're a counselor, a constitutional officer, or attorney, nobody is above accountability of the taxpayer dollars. They're the ones that are throwing the party here for everybody, and I think it's gotten to the point where they deserve some accountability on the front end before we pay these fees rather than after. Thank you.
All right. That concludes. I see no further discussion at this time, and so I will cue this for electronic vote, and please record your votes electronically. All right. Thank you.
Okay. You got a towel?
It's not showing? No. I had it, it was on my screen. There it goes. Can you click it over? I can see it. It's 9-1. Can you see it, Tiny? No, ma'am. I need the vote for council.
That shows how we voted.
Let's take a.
Okay. All right. We're going to. We have it in the record, but for some reason it's not. All those in favor of the motion to pay the fees, show your hands, please. All those in favor, show hands. All right, and those opposed? All right.
All right. That item does pass 9-1, and it is our fervent hope that the new trial judge in this matter will utilize a special master going forward or a neutral party to review these fees. And that's all we have listed on our agenda, Mayor.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. I think we are now into public agenda, and so we will switch over and call forward Mr. Dan East, who's representing the Valley Rescue Mission with expansion plans. Mr. East, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Mr. City Manager, and the councilmen. Thank you all for the opportunity for us to bring this presentation to you. We've met with city engineers for probably the last year and a half on a project that we're doing up on 2nd Avenue at Valley Rescue Mission. The Valley Rescue Mission's been there for 53 years, and if you go back to the past, you'll remember when we had shotgun houses and two-storage houses that we housed people in, and over those years we have got to where we are now, and that's why we're here tonight. During the time that we was meeting with the city engineers, we got introduced to be a partner with City Village, and we have presented this to both boards, and we feel like that we have a win-win program that will benefit Valley Rescue Mission as long as make the gateway to Columbus a more beautiful place. And at this time, I'm going to introduce you to Rhonda Mobley. She's our president and CEO, and this is Warren. And Warren is going to come forward and make the presentation.
I'll be brief. I'm Warren Mason with Moon Meeks Mason and Vincent. It's a pleasure to help Valley Rescue Mission, as well as Ed Kendis with Neil Kendis and Murray, who can't be here this evening. What you have before you is a conceptual plan to aid in the discussion that the Valley Rescue Mission has been having with city representatives about the closing of 30th Street. By closing 30th Street, it allows their campus to expand. It allows them to modify the entrance to their facility to allow trucks to come in to service their retail center in a more acceptable manner. Again, we've been working with Ms. Donna Newman in the engineering department and others, and what we're trying to do this evening is get a pulse for the council as it relates to the potential for the abandonment of 30th Street so this project can move forward. At the appropriate time, if we get positive feedback, we'll jump through the necessary steps with surveys, locations of utilities for the abandonment process, but we make this presentation as a point of discussion to show you the direction the Valley Rescue Mission is desiring to go. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Well, first of all, welcome, and thanks for being here. We have Councilor Thomas.
Madam Mayor, I had a short conversation with Mr. East and the folks from Valley Rescue Mission when they said to me that they wanted to close this, and my question at that time was, by closing this street, we will not in any way, there's a question mark at the end of this, we will not in any way impact our emergency vehicles' abilities to get from 2nd Avenue back to 1st Avenue and those kinds of things. And I have been assured, not only by these folks, but by our city folks, that that should not be a problem at all. There are plenty other access roads for our emergency personnel to get back there. And that, to me, was my only question. I know that there are houses on 1st Avenue back behind Valley Rescue, and I wanted to make sure that we could get to those. And I've been assured that that's correct. It seems to me, too, that because Valley Rescue is on both sides of 30th Street, and this would be used to expand their facilities and their mission, that this is something that we certainly, I think, need to support and need to be doing to close that and do whatever we need to do to deed it to Valley Rescue. And I'm assuming that at some point we'll be told what that action is that we might need to do to get that done. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Woodson?
Yes, I support the project. It's in my district. I'm the district representative. When I got the email, I replied back. I had no problems with it for the same reasons, because you already own property on both. I know your mission. I know what you do. So I have no objections whatsoever. I told you in an email, and now personally I tell you that I support it. I have no issues with it.
All right. I think that concludes the questions. Is there any action tonight? No action tonight?
They have to bring it back.
Okay, they bring it back. Okay.
They have to bring it back.
Well, thank you very much
Thank you.
for coming. Appreciate it. Appreciate your patience, too, and thank you for what you do for this community. It's tremendous. Thank you.
Would you like this back? So that way, if you had to give a presentation?
Do you want these color copies back? We can certainly provide them. Mr. McCartney is not here this evening, so we'll move on to Mr. Tony Alford Jr. Mr. Alford? Okay. Let's see. Next we have Mr. Lewis Clemens. Mr. Clemens, hello. Welcome. Mr. Clemens would like to speak to us about the tax assessment purposes. If you would just state your name and address for the record, and welcome.
Louis Clemens, 684 Courtenay Drive, Columbus, Georgia.
And Belinda Clemens.
Oh. Yes, sir. You just tell us what your concern is.
Okay, Mayor, we are here because we pastor the Kingdom Awareness Ministries International Church, and we purchased the church in the year of 2013. And prior, we were pastoring the church of the Wind Road Ministries, Church of God in Christ, 1112 Winton Road. And that property we were pastoring at 1112 was tax exempt. And we moved the congregation from 1112 to 3503, which is presently now known as the Wind Road Ministries Church of God in Christ. But we changed the name last year. And we received a tax notice that we were being taxed for the year of 2014 and 2015. And we met with the Columbus Board of Tax Assessors, and they researched it and wrote us a letter and saying as a result of their research, they could not give us an answer, and they recommended that we appear before the council.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, we've not been briefed. Usually what happens, and it's not to question anything you've said, it's just because something's out of whack and I'm not sure what. Usually what happens if you take something to the Board of Tax Assessors and they vote against you and you appeal it here, we usually get a report, and usually the tax commissioner will advise us as to her opinion so we can weigh all the pros and cons, and then council will vote, and we usually have our lawyers look into it to see if it's something we can provide relief on, because there's some things we're just not allowed to provide relief on. So somehow either we didn't, something's been lost in the translation here.
Mayor, may I read the letter that the
Yes, certainly.
Board of Assessors sent to us? Mr. Clemens, thank you for your appearing before the Board of Tax Assessors. The board did not take any actions regarding the above reference and parcel for previous tax years. However, your current request for non-tax taxability for the year 2016 will be reviewed. You will be notified at a later date of their decision. For the previous tax years, there is an option available to you to go before the City Council to request a refund. In order for this to be considered by the City Council, you must first pay the back taxes. Please see the enclosed copy of the Georgia Code Section 485380 for further details.
Okay. All right, we're going to need to, because we want to get this resolved for you and for everybody, we're going to need for you to give that to the city attorney, and the city attorney to look into this, to advise us. Clifton, anything that we can do tonight, because we don't have a staff report on this or anything.
Well, you don't have jurisdiction yet, Mayor, as a body. What was stated in the letter legally is correct. We would advise them to consult an attorney. There is a procedure under state law, Title 48, where you can pay a tax and then file a refund claim with the tax commissioner. That would be Ms. Huff's office. She does a report and makes a recommendation if she feels it's appropriate, and then it comes to this body, the council, after those steps. And,
okay. I think what we need to do is, first of all, we're in a strange position because our lawyers can't give you advice.
Right.
Okay? And so, but I don't like to tell citizens to go figure it out for themselves because it's a complicated circumstance. And so is there some way, without it giving them advice, they can receive some direction on how to proceed so they can come back through this process in a more efficient way? I mean, can either Betty call them?
They
somebody
can
from your
go
office
to
contact them?
tax assessor's office and talk to Ms. Middleton,
Okay.
or Mr. Floyd and Ms. Huff's office,
Okay.
either one.
Mr. Clemens, hand me that letter. I'm gonna see what I can do to at least get you some direction, okay? I know. We just need to see what we can do to get your appeal straightened out, so we can actually, have you paid the taxes that they say were back taxes?
No, we did not
Okay.
pay. And the reason why, Mayor, if I may state, because the church we left was tax exempt, the
Yeah.
church property we bought was tax exempt.
Okay.
The church property we bought, they are, the church is under the mortgage of the old church.
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, usually by the time, it's not like we've never dealt with an issue like this before, we do have them, but usually by the time you get to us, we have we have the file, all the information, we have a little report, so we can actually vote yes or no or whatever, and we just don't know anything about this. This is all the information that we have right now. And so what we're going to have to do is let me look into it a little bit, see what's happening here, and without giving you any advice, provide you some administrative direction so you know how to proceed most effectively, and we can get to the business of figuring out wherever it is you are in this process, okay? We cannot take any action tonight because we're just not, we don't have the information to do so. There are a couple of counselors that want to be heard. Counselor Huff?
Yes, thank you for being here. How long had you been tax exempt before you moved?
Matter of fact, I was asked to pastor the church, and it was tax exempt when I got there in 2003.
2003?
Yes.
So this was 2003 up until 15?
Yes.
2015 this happened? You moved?
yeah, we purchased,
We purchased the property in 2013.
2013?
Yes,
Okay.
and we got a tax statement of 2015. That's what
Okay,
we-
so you had been tax exempt for about 10 or 11 years?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay,
And
thank you.
And the property we bought was tax exempt. It was
Okay.
another church.
Okay. Yeah, something, we just need to get to the bottom of it. Mayor Pro Tem?
I was going to ask, was the property purchased in the church's name?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
And
Well-
my problem with is, I hate for them to have to go get a lawyer.
I know. Well, I'm hoping if we can provide some administrative direction, they can figure out whether they have to get a lawyer. But when it's about taxes, not getting a lawyer could be, it could be a problem for you.
I really don't understand why the Board of Tax Assessors told them that they can come before council.
You know as much about this as I do.
And they didn't
so-
make any ruling on it one way or the other.
We're going to get to the bottom of it, Mr. Clemens. I appreciate you coming. I'm not going to be able to provide you with an answer, but we certainly can get you a little bit of direction, okay?
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you coming. I'm sorry that you've waited so long and we can't give you a resolution. We're making a copy of your original because I don't want you to not have your original. You need to keep a file on this stuff, okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Counselor Henderson.
Just have a quick question. You bought the church in 2013?
Yes.
Did you move your congregation in 13, or was that in 4? Okay, so you moved immediately.
Yes. As a matter of fact, one of the board members of the tax assessor asked me, was it still a church? I said, yes, because the mayor spoke at the dedication.
That's why you're taxed. She didn't tell you about the speaking fee? Is that what it
No,
was?
she didn't tell you that.
All right. We've got Counselor Barnes.
Listen, Mr. Clemens, this is good, because I always tell individuals, when you have a problem, come down to council. And I'm glad you did, although maybe the advice that you gave, according to our city attorney, you shouldn't have, but it's, you know what it did? It created a dialogue here. And you know for a surety, if the mayor took your letter, we're going to get to the crux of the problem, because something's wrong somewhere.
Yes.
So appreciate you taking the time to come down. Always telling citizens, come down
Yes.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all very much. We're going to get you your original. And so if you'll hang out for just a minute, they're warming up the copy machine, and then we'll get somebody to get with you.